And take a look at where Solana is trading right now and where we might be going next. So far, I'm not surprised actually by the price action. I'm not saying I told you so, but I kind of did. So we're gonna take a look at how the next steps could go. But there's also a bunch of shit going on the macro world right now that is fairly interesting because POTUS is definitely keeping us entertained. Let's put it that way. And I think you do have to take it with one smiling and one crying eye, I would say, because there's definitely decisions right now being made from the US government that are, let's say, questionable, and you can have your own opinions. I have mine, and everyone has an opinion, as everyone has a butthole, but that's totally fine. I don't think that it is great for the economy right now, but it could be great for the economy in the last half of this year or even a little bit before that, because if the US is cornered right now, they are making a lot of decisions that you wouldn't make if you are well, right? Like a lot of extreme decision making in politics and geopolitics is being made when you're cornered and when you have an issue that you have to solve. And the US is kind of fucked, because if they keep doing what they're doing by 2030, 2035, their national debt is gonna basically consume all their GDP just by interest payments, and that is definitely a problem. And the declining demographics, meaning more old people than young people, come into this world or stay in this world, that is definitely not playing into their cards, because it won't help them to get a higher GDP. So either they aggressively scale their economy and make sure that GDP and household income goes up, or they aggressively scale down their interest payments, the money they have to pay on the debt they're already holding. And they can also do both, which I think they're going to do. So why is that interesting? Because it means low interest rates and good conditions to borrow money, and easing of balance sheets, which is also known as quantitative easing. And it means acceleration of economy, which basically that's the reason why they do it, because they want to increase economic activity again. So far, the numbers are looking good that are coming out of the US. But if this would be not enough, they are also on a streak to take over world domination, as we all know these days. So this week there was a meeting in what was it, Davos in Switzerland, and there were a few speeches by government leaders that talked about, I think the main topic these days is that the US wants a trade deal over Greenland, but they want Greenland. Let's be clear here. But the European Union said they're gonna halt a US trade deal over the Greenland tariffs that they've been agreeing on last year in August. So we're looking at a tweet here. I think you should see it. Yep, from Bernd Lange, a fellow German man here. I think he's working in the Chamber of Commerce on the European Union level or something. But what he says is important, and he tweeted on the 21st, so 2 days ago. Now official, the EU-US deal is on hold until further notice. Our negotiating team has just decided to suspend the work of EP Trade on the legal implementation of Turnberry deal, which was a deal that was struck last year in around August, when Trump was already throwing around tariffs. Our sovereignty and territorial integrity are at stake. Business as usual, impossible, says Bernd Lange. So definitely a lot of tensions right now that are rising, and it's not good for trade. Let's put it that way. So the European Parliament has halted the work on this Turnberry US trade deal, and that is definitely still in place right now, as of today. They said that they'll keep the files frozen until the US withdraws its Greenland-related tariff threats and return to cooperative stance. And then the US also answered, because first, before the European Union decided to halt that Turnberry deal, Trump has threatened 10% tariffs from February 1st on several European countries. And he also wants to escalate this to 25% by June if we are not coming to an agreement over the control of Greenland. Now, Trump has since announced, since all this, turmoil this week came up and the European Union halted that Turnberry deal, Trump has announced that these specific new tariffs will not go ahead for now, saying a framework for a future deal over Greenland made them unnecessary. So they are talking. He has been talking to NATO. They've been talking to Arctic security, and there's definitely still existing tensions, and there's not a final conclusion yet, so it's still a lot of uncertainty. But for now, for today, as of the Friday, 23rd of January, the US has been pulling their threats a little bit back. The European Union, though, is still standing strong, having basically frozen those Turnberry deal files from last August, which, by the way, are pro-trade for both nations, so it would be a good deal. But even one step further, the European Union officials are also discussing more tariffs on US goods. They are talking about so-called anti-coercion instrument that they so far have held back, and it's some sort of trade bazooka that you could use to avoid immediate escalation, but it's designed as a last resort tool against economic coercion, and it would significantly raise costs and barriers for targeted US business if activated. So basically, US trade inside the European Union would be extremely difficult if they really do that. So that would be the next kind of big thing if it really escalates. So yeah, let's see if the US is basically giving clear retractions of the Greenland-linked tariff threats. So far, it's only been a few words here and there. And if they are returning back to cooperation rather than confrontation, because right now it is they're very on the confrontation course. So that's happening on the macro side of things. There was definitely more going on this week, but we can't dive into everything, but it impacted the markets as well. That's important. So what we've seen happening here has also impacted the charts. So let me pull up the charts now and let's take a look at the Solana chart here. We are in the weekly chart right now, zoomed out view, to see what's going on here in the larger time frame. I believe we are right now in a larger fourth wave correction here in the weekly macro cycle, basically. That cycle started in the low of $8 after the FTX crash. So we're right now in this fourth wave sideways movement here. And this fourth wave could technically go as low as $60 or even lower. It would be still, it wouldn't invalidate this wave count. But I do think this would be an extreme environment to be pushed that far. More realistically right now, I do think that we are in the micro counts here inside this fourth wave in an ABC correction. We're in the C wave to the downside right now. That C wave started with last year's high in September 25. Sorry, was it September? Yeah. So that was the last high that we printed in 2025. And from there, we saw this sharp decline, right? Into January 2026 now, where we saw a small kind of pause of the decline that happened here. And I think this is the fourth wave of the C wave down here. This one here, where we are right now, basically in this resistance zone to the upside. And we could have already managed to basically hit the resistance in the fourth wave because we crossed some fib levels. It is fairly shallow wave for correction here to the upside, or relief rally, basically. But it wouldn't surprise me if that's it, because the market environment right now is just not strong enough to give a stronger wave 4, I think. So for now, unless some fundamental news in the world give us a different explanation, I don't think we have to necessarily go higher, even though we could go as high as $200 and we would still be in this fourth wave. But I'm watching for the fifth leg down to the downside here right now. That could then bring us to $90 basically on the Solana chart. So it could bring us to sub 100. It doesn't have to go sub 100. We could also, we could definitely also pause between 110 and $100 or something. Also possible. But I think in the weekly long-term chart here, it wouldn't surprise me if we see that fourth wave here to the downside playing out a bit deeper here, because the C wave technically needs to be lower than the A wave here at $105. But this doesn't have to happen next week or something, anytime soon. What happens right now here on the more granular chart of the Solana token is that we made a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move right now. We're in the fourth wave here, also in the micro count. That fourth wave necessarily is also, again, I think we don't need to go much higher than this. We can actually put the fib levels here between the second wave, the third wave, and see where prices could bring us. And yeah, we can tell that we already managed to retrace up to the 0.382 up here. So we don't need to go much higher in the fourth wave. We could definitely. So it could also be that we're in an A, B, C right now, and we see one more high in that fourth wave here before we break down in the fifth wave. So that is something you could trade. Basically, is one more relief rally into a higher fourth wave pullback. But the chances are not high. I would say that this happens, not much higher than 50%. So it would be still a calculated gamble, but not a huge chance. What would be a safer trade, in my opinion, is basically wait until we hit some more fib levels here of this fourth wave in an upside move, and then scale into a short position to catch that next leg down to the downside, because this wave count here in the sub count doesn't look complete yet. I would like to see one more fifth wave here to the downside, and that needs to have crossed the $124. So either it happens right now, or it happens after one more relief to the upside. So that's what I'm watching on the Solana chart right now. And I think after we've hit that fifth wave here, we will see either a larger relief rally, because it would be an A and then a B wave to the upside that will bring us at least to $150, maybe even higher. But it could also be already that we're making a low here that's low enough, maybe $115, maybe $112. Let's see how far this fifth wave would retrace. If the lower the fifth wave goes now, the higher the chances that we see a larger bounce to the upside. The higher it stays, the more I think this will just be a relief rally and then push us down one more time into this final stretch of this larger fifth wave correction into the overall fourth wave count. So this is what I'm reading right now in the markets. Obviously, I have no idea what's actually going to happen. All I'm doing here is looking at probabilities, mainly based on traders' psychology. Which instrument helps to see that is the Elliott wave theory, because that helps us to understand how trader psychology works by, well, a system of, or a set of rules that you can follow to understand and make sense of charts, instead of just looking at them and taking random punts. So let's see where it moves next. This is, of course, no financial advice, as always, because I don't have any idea what's really going to happen. Now, as last section for this part of the live stream today, and as last section of this YouTube video here, where we talk about prices, markets, and charts as well, I'd like to talk a little bit about a report that was put out by ARK. So ARK Invest, you might be familiar. They've been doing very a lot of the big tech ETFs. They're coming out of ARK, and some time ago, ARK also invested heavily into crypto and became one of the first institutional investors, I would say, that are big on crypto. And they published a report. It is the Bitcoin Quarterly Q4 2025 report with the latest stats from the Bitcoin ecosystem. Obviously, at Sol Brothers, we talk about Solana, but we're also talking about everything that impacts Solana, and Bitcoin is still the leading crypto here that pulls or pushes the whole market. Now, what I found interesting, without going too deep into this whole report, you can take your own look if you want to. You can find it on the ARK Invest Twitter page. They posted about this. You can see that they have one graph where they put something called the on-chain mean as a line on the graph here, on the Bitcoin graph. And it is an interesting indicator here because we can also see that the Bitcoin price did cross the 200-day moving average, but it didn't cross the on-chain mean. And the on-chain mean is a bit difficult to understand what it actually does in detail, but high level, I can explain it to you, which is basically we're looking only at active coins and not dormant coins. So this metric excludes all the Bitcoins that haven't been moved for a long time and only looks at active coins by movements. So why this is interesting is because it gives us the average price, the average entry investment price of investors that are moving the tokens and not just hodling them since years and maybe even a decade. So I think it is a barrier that is more important than the dormant coins, because the dormant coins, we can expect them to move much less, just statistically. But the active coins that have been recently bought or are always being moved, they are also probably being sold earlier than everything else. So when we're above that line or when we're touching that line, it means that all these active tokens are still in profit, basically. So they're not underwater. And if we cross that line, then Bitcoin is undervalued compared to the active token price. So right now we're right at the line, basically, where I think a lot of selling pressure is coming in again and accumulation is going to happen. So I think we're definitely hovering around a point on the Bitcoin chart that indicates seller exhaustion, I would say. There's a bunch of other charts here in this report, like the long-term holder chart, where you can see who's realizing losses. So we saw a little bit going on in 2025 and recently as well a little bit, but not too much. Late 2025, long-term holders realized losses as a percent of total realized losses as high as 64% in a single day. So there have been some outflows where long-term holders also sold their tokens, but I think this is a normal market movement or behavior. And another thing I wanted to look at is the volatility as well, because interestingly, Bitcoin volatility is super low. It hasn't been that low almost ever, which is interesting, I think, and ARK also thinks that we're coming into a more mature market, obviously, where higher risk-adjusted returns are possible in the coming years. Risk-adjusted returns means that the returns this asset is providing for us compared to its volatility is actually going up. Because in the past, sure, you can get huge amounts of APY or returns for the better on Bitcoin, but it was also extremely volatile, right? Especially in the early years. But right now, it's really not. So Bitcoin is definitely leading the pack here, I think, when it comes to low volatility in all crypto tokens, which is good. It is a mature asset by now. Yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff also about the US economy and how bad it is, how low the US consumer sentiment right now is. It is actually as low as 1980, which is also insane. So a bunch of interesting stats here in the research. So shout out to ARK Invest and feel free to check it out yourself if you want to learn a little bit more about what happened with Bitcoin in the last quarter of 2025. Now, with all that being said, we're going to pause this stream here right now or end the video on YouTube, where it's all about charts, prices, and macro. If you want to know more about the Solana ecosystem and you are interested in Solana news, then you should check out the next video that's dropping shortly after this one on YouTube, where we are talking about the latest news on Solana. And we're going to do a little deep dive as well into the SKR token, the latest token drop from Solana Labs, actually, related to Solana Mobile. Until then, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the video, leave a comment, let us know what you want to see on this channel. And yeah, like the video as well. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out. Alrighty, this is a cut, and we're gonna jump into the next one, which is Solana news. So if you're on the screen right now, thanks for jumping in with me. And we're going to talk a little bit about what happened in the past couple days on Solana. And we're also going to do a little deep dive into the SKR token, because I actually think this shit is crazy what happened with it. But let's do it together. 3, 2, 1. GM everyone, and welcome to Sol Brothers. With myself today, only Simon, where it is my job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole and show you around in our exciting ecosystem. Now, I got a bunch of news for you today. We're gonna definitely talk about the Seeker, which is Solana Mobile's latest phone. I have it here actually with me, with this beautiful solid case from Super Team Balkan. And when I say solid, I mean SOLYD, not my solid. Which are the cases from the Seeker phones. And it took me probably longer than half a year to get this fucking phone in my hand, because I was not able to pick it up in my home country. But now I got it, Solana Mobile. I still haven't set it up, and I deeply regret it because my friends are getting a lot of money, and we're going to talk about it and where that money comes from. But before we do, let's chat as well a little bit about some Solana news, some other Solana news that are on the horizon. So where do we begin? Let's start with the first item here, which is a nice little number, a bullish number that I want to throw out here, which is the $1 trillion landmark in stablecoin volume in 2025, which is probably nuts. Solana processed more than $1 trillion in stablecoin transactions throughout 2025, marking a historic milestone, not going to lie, for the network, because this massive volume demonstrates Solana's evolution from a trading-focused blockchain into a backbone of digital dollar transfers and real-world financial infrastructure. So I think we're now fairly positioned as one of the most active payment-oriented networks in blockchain history. I think that is pretty insane, because payments has been one of the core use cases for crypto since ever. It was what onboarded me, essentially, to crypto, besides financial services and, you know, like bank-like products without the bank. That was always cool to me. But payments, like sending money from A to B without any intermediaries and in a split second for not even a cent, that has amazed me. And I think a lot of people were amazed by it. So yeah, huge shout out here to everyone who's building on the payment layer of Solana, because $1 trillion in stablecoin volume is definitely nothing to ignore. On different news, a little live update from Akshay. Akshay BD leaves Solana Foundation as CMO. The long-time Solana Foundation CMO Akshay has departed the organization after playing a key role in international expansions and community building. As you all know, Akshay was instrumental in shifting Solana's social media strategy to high-frequency organic content, and he also founded Super Team, the community incubator that has become central to our ecosystem growth across multiple regions. So big shout out here to Akshay for his work on Solana. I have met him a few times. I had short conversations with the busy man, but I have to say that I think he's probably a genius, because marketing and community has been probably the most mentioned bullish signal when it comes to Solana. You ask anyone, what do you like about Solana? What do you think is the most bullish thing about Solana? I think community is probably the biggest, the most answered item here on the list. And Akshay is one of the key drivers that made us able to have such a strong community. And I believe it started all the way back with hacker houses, real life events, early on Solana. Onboard new developers, make sure that they understand Rust and get them locked into the ecosystem. And then it moved into all these amazing events around super teams, the whole super team structure that Kash under Akshay built from ground up, basically. And now it is a living organism that is, thriving all the time. So yeah, Super Team Balkan on my shirt, on my phone, it works. People like myself, they find a home in these communities, and they're pushing forward. But yeah, Vibu is now taking over. So Vibu is basically filling in the shoes of Akshay after he's now leaving the foundation as CMO. So yeah, that's definitely also a little bit of Solana news that you also might haven't seen on the timeline yet. On different news, we have Helios they launched a unified history for any Solana address. So Helios, they solved a major developer pain point by releasing a new feature that gets unified wallet history for any Solana address in just one API call. They have a get transactions for address tool, and that includes all associated token accounts using the new token accounts filter, running up to 20 times faster than existing RPCs and eliminating the need for hundreds of separate calls. Bit technical. If you're a developer, if you're a builder, if you're a vibe coder, if you ever tried to do anything with Solana, you needed probably to use an RPC. Helios is one of the major RPC providers next to Triton as well, that are doing very important work when it comes to Solana infra. And this piece of technology that they released right now here, that that Mert also, I think, repeatedly talked about as fairly bullish, is, I think, pretty cool, and the community took it well as well. It's insane the amount of confusions this has caused for Solana in the past 3 years. Finally fixed. Yeah, historic chain activity is always has never been easy. Not gonna lie. On different news, this is also an interesting one. Pump Fund launches a $3 million hackathon. So Pump.Fund launched its investment arm, Pump Fund, with a $3 million build in public hackathon, funding 12 projects at $250,000 each. And the initiative marks a strategic shift from meme coins towards sustainable ecosystem growth, where market traction determines funding, with winners announced starting February 18, 2026. So that is basically in less than a month. It is interesting to see where Pump.Fund is moving here, because this is new. So far, they've been only supporting, meme coins. And now Pump Fund wants ecosystem startups that are aligned with its projects long term. So the BIP hackathon is basically going on right now. They will fund the project at a $10 million valuation, giving mentorship with Pump Fund's founders and much more. So they chip in $250,000 at a 10 mil val. So that's an easy 2.5% of the company. That is fine. I think $10 million valuation for a hackathon project is okay. Definitely could be much worse. Instead of having to please judges or VCs for money, tokenizing allows the markets to become the judge. So that is actually very interesting. Your users are the ones that fund you by betting on you early. Those who can capture the minds of the people are empowered like nowhere else. So basically, here's what you have to do. You gotta launch a token, you gotta build a project. So it starts with launch a token. You gotta launch a token on Pump.Fund. You gotta build a project around the token, own at least 10% of the token supply, build it public. So that means you need to post on X, forming a community and stream on Pump. That is highly engaged. You don't have to do it, but I think it helps. And then you have to reply via a form. You don't have to build a crypto-related project, could be anything. They are looking for projects of all maturities, verticals, and tractions are welcome. So there's really no clear boundaries here. I think also, you can apply until the February 18th, and then the winners will be announced by day 30. Okay. They want to see teams that validate their ideas by shipping quickly and openly communicating their plans. So I think really the winning strategy for this one would be to build something, go out there, make yourself seen as much as possible on Twitter or on other social medias. Just build basically a following and a community around the project you launched, and have a token attached to it as well that performs hopefully well during that time. Cool. Let's see. Building Secure the Bag Fun. Solana's private DeFi app in development with Umbra Privacy. Interesting. Raheem is building something with some tokens. And I think so far, Alan says, going to be a huge month. So far, I think the comments are fairly positive. I think this is better than what Pump Fund has been doing in the past. At least they're giving $3 million to Solana ecosystem builders. I like it. I have to say I like it. Okay, next up. This is a big one, guys. This is a big one. Ondo brings Wall Street on chain. Really, literally. Ondo Finance launched over 200 tokenized US stocks and ETFs on Solana, bringing Wall Street liquidity to internet capital markets. Ondo is enabling 24/7 trading of major equities like Apple, like Tesla, with instant settlement, tapping into traditional exchange liquidity through compliance-enforced tokens using Solana token extension. So obviously these are Solana tokens now that you can trade on-chain, 200 plus assets. Gold, silver, treasury, corporate bonds, leverage and inverse ETFs, obviously all kinds of stocks. So this is actually pretty big, because I think this is what we've been waiting for. No, we want to have all assets on chain. We want to have all assets on Solana, and we can't get volume if we don't have the assets. But on the global markets is now how trillions in value connect to internet capital markets. So definitely a big piece of news here. I've seen it around being pushed by Solana as well. There was a live stream going on with Ondo and Solana as well. I'm pretty sure that you can probably still watch this. And yeah, I think this is really, really good for the ecosystem. Hundreds of RWAs just went live on Solana. They posted this huge tweet here with like all kinds of stocks, and then 150 plus more. That is actually insane. Absolute Solana. Damn, yeah, that's big. Okay, I think the institutions are here, I guess. Now, next up, we got Bulk. Bulk Trade sends out testnet access cards. If you haven't seen it yet, well, Bulk Trade is one of the perp dexes right now that are pushing Solana to its edges. It's a high-frequency perpetual dex. They raised $8 million, and they're now distributing testnet access cards to early community members. The platform integrates its machine engine or matching engine directly into Solana validators using a forked Jito Agave client. So they achieve 20 millisecond matching and 40 millisecond trade finality. Definitely a fast one, an interesting setup. And now you have testnet access cards that you can get in your DMs, I think. So you need to keep an eye on your DMs. There was some sort of form where you had to sign up, I remember. So if you haven't done that, I think chances are low that you're actually getting an access card. But yeah, this is definitely pretty interesting, because I think Bulk has convinced people with its speed a lot already. I've seen some screenshots and some people talking about it, and damn, I think it's really fast. So obviously, big shout out as well to Flash Trade, who's one of our partners, who is also fucking fast. Different setup, different tech stack as well, and also different timing. Flash has been around literally since FTX collapse. We're going to talk about some Flash Trade news later today as well. But for now, I want to talk a little bit about the Seeker, this little phone, and I want to talk about less about the hardware, the mobile phone, because you can find that info all online. I want to give you a little bit of my takes when it comes to the token SKR, because it is live now, ladies and gents. SKR is live. The native asset of the Solana mobile ecosystem has arrived. Claim stake built. The next era of open mobile starts now. Shout out to Solflare, the Solana wallet, because they gave a little thread themselves here that explains everything about SKR. And yeah, let me begin here. If you have that phone and you set it up already last year sometime, you already get 750, I think, or 4,000. Let's see, 5,000. You already get 5,000 SKR tokens just from owning that piece of equipment. You don't even have to. I think it was enough to just set it up. I did not set it up, so fuck my life. But I think that already made you eligible for 5,000 SKR tokens. Now, if we are going to Juke right now and we're going to the terminal and we're taking a look at the SKR token, which yesterday was still trending. Let's see where it's at now. It is currently retracing a little bit. Okay. So we're having a 216 million market cap still, which is fairly good. 30,000 holders on the SKR token, and the chart, yeah, it's not ugly. It looks decent. It actually looks insane, because this first pump here to the upside was pretty crazy, and also it looks like a healthy chart for now. But anyway, if you got 5,000 SKR tokens, that is already almost $200. $200 for buying a $400 phone, basically, only for activating it, right? But then you have more reward tiers. You have Prospectors, 10,000 SKR, Vanguard, 40,000 SKR, Luminary, 125,000 SKR, and then the sovereign with 750,000 SKR. Just for the wipes, just because we can, that is $28,000. Damn, bro. Like you should. Okay, so big shout out to everyone who built an application on the D App Store. I hope my friends from Scrolly and from CFL, from all these kind of D apps on Seeker are in the sovereign tier, because I think this tier was mainly for people that deployed apps on the Seeker. And well, I mean, you just got a little investment ticket from an airdrop. That's amazing. Yeah, really, really good airdrop, not gonna lie. This compares to Bonk back in the day, when Bonk did the airdrop to the very first Solana mobile. I think that compares to that. So I'm not disappointed so far from the token and how the token performed. There has not been a lot of shit talk. Opposite, a lot of people are actually talking about Solana and Solana mobile now positively, even if they haven't been on Solana before. This is very good marketing for us. How you can claim that shit? Easy peasy. Open Seeker, go to your Seed Vault wallet, powered by Software. Go to the activity tracking and choose claim or claim and stake. Ideally, claim and stake, because this is going to give you up to 26% APY if you stake your SKR on Seeker. The cool thing is the staking actually powers the ecosystem, because if you stake SKR, you can stake it, I think, to specific guardians, or it will be allocated to specific guardians. And they get the stake from behaving well on the phone. That means if they push good apps, if they approve apps that are being built for the App Store on the Seeker, so they basically do some jobs, and for doing that, they will get a part of the stake, which is great. So I think that is also a very good mechanism here. And now we have the next Seeker season on the way as well. So that's also something I want to shout out here. So after you claimed your season 1 rewards, or after you faded them like myself, you can now be ready for Seeker season 2, which also started now with a few apps. I think Helios was there with Orb Markets. You have Loopscale. You have, I think these 2 apps for now that are part of the season 2 for sure. So how does it work? Just use the apps on the Seeker, and this will basically make you eligible for more token airdrops in the future. I actually suspect that it's enough for you to simply use the phone a little bit. You don't have to, obviously, if you transact higher amounts, I'm pretty sure this is being taken into consideration. But I've seen people that simply use the phone every single day a little bit, right? And this already made them eligible for a better tier than the first tier. Just a few stats as well here to the Seeker. They have more than 100,000 users that generated more than $2.6 billion in volume across 265 DApps. I don't know if you were aware of the numbers here, but I think 265 DApps is already pretty crazy that we have so many popping up there. Now the team distributed 20% of the SKR supply, total 2 billion tokens, to users and devs in this first airdrop. And yeah, developers obviously received the biggest chunk with the 750,000 SKR, which is a lot of money. The claims already opened 2 days ago, and you can get it through the Seed Vault wallet. And I think there's a 90-day window, so you might want to do that in the next couple of weeks, so that you don't fade your allocation if you have one. What else? When it comes to SKR token, you have a fixed supply of 10 billion. There is inflation starting at 10% annually, declining 25% per year until reaching 2%. This is very similar to how Solana is working, by the way, the SOL token. The token powers governance, staking to guardians, what I mentioned earlier, and ecosystem incentives, which is the airdrop. And I think they are trying to position the mobile hardware ownership as direct participation in platform economics, which is, it basically means if you own the device, if you use the device, you can also benefit from the economy built on that device, which is pretty cool. Now, the Guardian Network, what I mentioned earlier, is part of a TPIN, a Trusted Execution Environment Platform Infrastructure Network, a TPIN. And it allows SKR holders to delegate stakes to operators who verify devices and create the App Store. So as I said earlier, if you verify devices, if you curate the App Store, if you're guardian and you do these kind of tasks, then you will basically get a delegated stake. Now, one of the people working on Solana Mobile, Emmett, he explained the strategic need for SKR as well. I think a while ago in a post, he said, while we are part of the Solana ecosystem, we are not the whole ecosystem. If we want users on the same page as developers and hardware manufacturers, we need an asset specific to the coordination of what we're building. So when you ask, why do you need a separate token? Why not just use Solana? I think this was the answer. And so far, as I said earlier, the numbers really look good, with 150,000 seekers shipped to more than 50 countries. So Tolly got criticized a lot for this stuff. He got criticized a lot for making a phone, right? And I think it's fair to criticize him for it because it is very, very ambitious. But I also think that greatness cannot be achieved if you don't dare, right? And I think he dared to tap into a market that is highly competitive. But with the only way you can tap into such a market is if you start with a small niche where you can be the winner. And Solana Mobile is the winner of crypto phones, of crypto-ready hardware wallet integrated phones with their own token economy around it, right? Definitely the leader in that segment. I know there has been other companies like Jumbo Phone on Solana that have been trying similar things. I think very different setup and very different target audience here. But Solana Mobile is definitely winning in its niche. Is it competing with an iPhone? Hell no. I cannot replace my iPhone with it, but I can definitely use it as a separate phone, and I can offload some of my crypto activities on that phone. And who knows, maybe the next version or the version after is actually going to compete with an iPhone. So obviously, iPhone has a lock-in effect of the whole Mac and app ecosystem, so that's difficult. But still, for Android users at least, it can be a viable option to replace your main phone. Okay, now, last but not least, for today here on my agenda, I have a few news and shoutouts to Solflare, SNS, and FlashTrade. Starting with Solflare here, they introduced Benefits today, which is an interesting product in a niche that I'm also very interested in. Maybe there's something I can do as well regarding to this niche, which is basically benefits directly in your wallet. Benefits display airdrops and perks available to you based on your wallet activity. And you can get this inside of your Solflare powered by the Miracle.io. And you can check it out right now. It's already in your wallet. If you open your Solflare wallet and you head over to the Explore page, which is the little icon with the world, you can see there a benefits section. And after clicking on it, you will see if you have anything for yourself. If there's nothing, then your wallet does not qualify for any benefits. But if there's some stuff, you can get claims, access, staking, yield, quests, airdrops, VIP early access, and so on. No need to search elsewhere. You can just get it in your Solflare wallet. So Solflare is just becoming this interesting, nifty little super app that integrates into all kinds of products that you couldn't get or that you could get somewhere else, but you have to, search around, and here you have it all in a one-stop shop, little fintech application. Solflare feels more like a neobank, more and more, I feel, and with the card and everything around it. But yeah, really big shout out to their ecosystem expansion, always collaborating with projects to make their product a little bit better. Obviously, I think I'd like to see Solana ID somewhere here as well, but that is because I'm biased, because I'm not only the host of Sol Brothers, I'm also the founder of the project. And I'd love to use my Solflare card as well, but it's still not working for me. I get a weird bug since 2 months. So yeah, Solflare, if you see this, please fix my Solflare card. Next up, we have SNS.sol, our friends from Solana Name Service. They are working on a marketplace V2. What does that mean? Better visibility shouldn't be a luxury, they say in the latest post here. And the new marketplace is basically a new version of a domain marketplace where you can trade .sol domains. .sol domains are obviously the best place to start if you want to abstract away your pub key. And now you have like this new nifty design here where you can search for listed domains, you can say, okay, I want anything with Simon. And then Simon and Garfunkel.zoll goes for $50. Interesting. Simon. Okay. So yeah, you can simple Simon's Pizza.zoll. I can buy this for $600. What? Who's Simple Simons? What is that? But that's really interesting. And you have a bunch of filters that you can set. You can basically search by categories as well. So I can remove my Simon here, and you can say, okay, I want only 2 letters. And then you'll get only 2-letter domains, which are probably expensive. Yeah, I.zoll, yo.zoll. That's pretty crazy, actually. Those are cool domains, not gonna lie. Like just 2 letters, and you can send your money to it. But yeah, this is going for 100K. What? sf.zoll. What about 1 letter? How expensive are these? Let's check out 1-letter domains. We only have z.zoll right now available to buy for $500,000. Okay, let's go. Good deal. That is pretty crazy. But yeah, you have a bunch of categories here that you can browse through, and it's basically just an updated user experience for the marketplace of domains on SNS. And then last but not least, we are coming to FlashTrade's Remora pool, which are tokenized stocks on FlashTrade in the pool. And they just made a new high on 24-hour volume. That means that a lot of people are trading on leverage on FlashTrade for stocks, which you can definitely do. And it's fairly easy to do that. You can also always go on flash.solbrothers.pod, by the way, .com. And you can basically use the Flash platform. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's go to Flash directly. You can go to flash.trade and you can get access to a bunch of stocks here, like Tesla, like Nvidia, and so on. And you can trade these bad boys simply on leverage up to 10x. And you can then as well provide liquidity into the liquidity pools for these stocks, which are right now the Remora pool here, pool R, with $2 million in total volume locked right now in there. That's a lot. That's the second largest pool right now here. But that's probably also because the APY of 60% 7-day average APY is fairly good here. So definitely an interesting pool. And yeah, big shout out as well to Remora and FlashTrade, both of them, for making this possible, because you can't really trade stocks on leverage right now on Solana, only on FlashTrade, which is really bullish. And this should be everything for today. I think we covered a bunch of interesting news and updates. We're going to keep an eye on the charts. We're going to keep an eye on the Solana price for now. I think over the weekend, I don't think we're going to see a lot of crazy action. Maybe with Sunday night, with the future markets open, and Monday open, we will see the next directional move. If we're going higher in the 4th wave, or if we're going to crush down in the 5th wave. If you don't know what I'm talking about right now, then you should probably watch our markets, prices, and macro videos as well on YouTube, so you get a better understanding of what's happening in the markets. Now, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're in the stream, thanks for jumping on the stream as well. Please subscribe also to our YouTube, because this helps us grow and it doesn't cost you anything, and you will get our content directly in your YouTube dashboard. Thank you so much for watching Sol Brothers today. You guys have a blessed rest of your Friday, or a good start of the day, or a good night wherever you are, and we'll see you next time, early next week on Monday, when Ino's with me, and we're going to talk a little bit more again about the latest and greatest on Solana and in the world. Until then, peace out, everyone.